Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to DSS ISE 2024. And we're so happy that all of you made it here. And ISE, I hope most of you probably attended yesterday's day already here at ISE. It's just an amazing day, probably one of the most busy days ever here at the show floor. We're so happy so many people decided to come. Stefan and I will be your host this morning. And those of you who will continue this afternoon, we have a retail forum. We have a dedicated digital signage event just for the retail industry. If you want to join us, let us know. We still have a few seats available. So if you want to come, it's free to attend. But we will do a full day program today about digital signage. And we just want to give you an update because we know when you're on the show floor, you can see so many things. You see the latest technology, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to navigate, to really understand, what's relevant and what isn't. And Stefan and I want to give you some navigation, help you a little bit with that.
A bit of a story.
A bit of the story. So the great thing is there's the ISE app. I'm sure all of you have the ISE app. If you like what we do, if you like different presentations or so, please give us 5 stars. I'm talking now like an Uber driver. Smash the like button, whatever you want. Please use the app after the conference and let us know how you liked our event and how you like the speakers and everything, because we need your feedback to improve what we do. It's our 55th conference, DSS conference. So thanks for all of you who are joining us for many years, and we want to continue that for many years to come. And also for the first time, it's a premiere, and I'm not sure it's working because people who know me, I speak very fast, but there's an AI tool you can use, and you can scan it, and it has live translation in all the important languages, Spanish, whatever you want. I'm not sure if it works, but for all of you who want to try it out, it's available here. So
I want to hear myself in German.
Good. So let's kick it off. Our topic this year, our keynote, it's Beyond Pixels. And we just want to give you an update what's really happened in the last year. We also have some really, really exciting numbers. It's exciting not, but brand new, hot off the press, just a few hours old. So that's the reason why we updated our presentation and everything is brand new. So we want to give you some update about the market. This is our agenda. We call it the Pulse. That's our update about last year numbers and everything what we expect. Industry's hot topic about technology, about between solution, product, and platforms, the transformation of the industry, from box moving all the way to signage as a service, maybe. And we want to give you some topics from Beyond Pixel, and we want to focus a little bit about sustainability. I'm sure all of you know it's a topic very close to our heart, and we also do things like this. This is our Green Signage Handbook, so you can download it for free on invidis.com. It's 50 pages, it tells you everything about being more sustainable with digital signage and what to look for. So this is very popular. We launched it in December. It's like all our publication, free for download. We talk about cybersecurity, which becomes more and more important. Generative AI, it's only 12 months ago OpenGPT started, and it has changed almost everything. And we want to talk about retail media and analytic AI. It's probably the boom topic of 2024, to put it mildly. Good. Stefan, let's kick it off, huh?
Yep. So we always start looking at the broader sentiment, so the broader economic environment. And this is a PwC study asking CEOs what their expectations about GDP is. And you see it's been a roller coaster ride last couple of years. After COVID, it went through the roof. Everybody was very, very optimistic. Then it turned around all the way to the opposite. 2023 was like, everybody was like, whoa, this growth can't continue. And it actually didn't. But now the sentiment's improving again. So optimism is coming back, and you see 45% of CEOs expect a decline in GDP, and 38% expect growth. So looking back at that year, 2023, we still in a multi-crisis mode. I mean, I don't have to tell you, you live that every day. We're still in a post-COVID time, in a new normal, as it was termed. There's political tensions, wars happening in Europe, in other places, Middle East. There's inflation, something that many of you didn't have to deal with for many, many years. There's low growth in many of the major markets, especially Europe.
Yeah.
And there's climate change as a long-term thing that's going to impact us all and our businesses. And when we look at digital signage side of things, the year started with very high hopes, but those high hopes hit a very hard reality. So everybody coming out of 2022 was very optimistic, planning like on growth, strong growth, but that didn't materialize, unfortunately. It was more of a flat year. So you had this kind of growth planned, it was flat, obviously had pressure on prices, and we'll see that in the numbers later on. There was also a large spread between different players. Some were very successful in this environment, and some actually lost business. And the other thing that happened, things kind of normalized after COVID now. After the roller coaster ride, supply chain things, all that eased, so it was more of a normal year for many of you. And then on the M&A side, we were talking about consolidation in this industry for a long time, but very few things happened. That's got to do with higher interest rates and with expectation, but mainly there's this still wide open gap between bid and ask prices in M&A.
Good. So these are the numbers you have been all waiting for, and just a reminder, all of you registered today, all of you are here, you will get a link after the event to download the presentation. But here are the numbers. There's the latest numbers, and they don't look pretty. So where are we? Last year, and this is large format displays, 32-inch and larger, professional screens. These are latest numbers from FutureSource. Last year, 8.2 million professional displays were sold. That's basically flat, plus 1%. But the global value declined by 21% globally. That means you can imagine 20%. That's quite massive. When you look at EMEA units, it's flat. EMEA has a market share of 23%. It always goes 23, 24 somewhere. That's okay. And in value, in EMEA was even 22% down. So that's pretty grim. Talking about grim, no, it's not that bad. But these are the numbers for EMEA, the breakdown. Not too many changes, some smaller ones, but in general, the market shares are pretty similar. You see the DACH market, Germany, Austria, Switzerland is still the largest market. UK, 14%, and the rest you probably know, the Nordics, Benelux, and all of that. As you always know, some bigger projects may change, some numbers from year to year. We had a huge jump in Italy in 2022. Now we're down to a little bit normal, and you see minus 44%. That's not because, the world went under in Italy. It's just, the year before was just crazy numbers. So, but basically we're more or less flat. That's where we are.
Yeah, the other thing we are tracking in this market is the Business Climate Index, which is basically asking about your current situation and your future expectations for the next couple of months. We do that on a quarterly basis, and everybody in the digital signage industry, you're all invited to participate in this. The current index value is 38.8, which is on a scale from minus 100 to plus 100. It's still a positive value, but you can see current expectations are current situation is much lower than expectations. And you can see the development over time here. When we started in 2023, there was a lot of optimism in the market, and current situation was good, but current situation declined a lot across the year. However, optimism stayed high or even got higher in Q4, so people are optimistic for 2024.
Yeah. And the sentiment of last year's ISE, when we all met a year ago, was probably better than it should have been. And now when you talk to everyone, there's a huge buzz on the floor, but when you look at the numbers, it's probably a little bit, worse than it should really be. So we believe, this year should be get better. But Stefan, talking about this year.
Long-term trends, we've been doing this since 2010. And this is mainly based on large format displays, and it's been a smooth ride for many years, up until COVID more or less, and then you see it becomes very bumpy. So hard decline with COVID, then 2 growth years, 2023 again going down, expectation for next year and 2025 is slight growth. But having said that, it's based on large format displays, LCD technology, and we're going to change that because LED is going to overtake the LCD market in terms of value next year or two, and therefore when it's a dear number to us in the long-term tracker, but we're going to change that in the future. So this is more of a zoom in for the total market. So not only large format displays. So we had a growth in 2022, 11%. Last year was overall flat. The decline was mainly in LCD. It was compensated largely by LED. So overall, we had a flat year. I already talked about it. We have winners and losers in the market, and the expectations are about 3 to 8% growth, which is still below the long-term trend, but it should be a solid growth for 2024, 2025.
So much for the numbers. Now let's talk about the industry trends. And you see, we always have these holding slides from the sphere. If you come to Vegas, obviously you have to see it, but I must also admit it's very disappointing when you're very close by. It looks fantastic on drone pictures, on video and everything, but the closer you come, it's quite disappointing. And everyone I talk to have seen it in person said, well, from the inside it's just amazing, but from the outside as well, it's a little bit underwhelming. Good, so what are the main trends? AI, artificial intelligence, wherever you go, you will see it any place. Low power displays, LED, LCD, but also e-paper. There was just an announcement 1.5 hours ago by PPDS that they signed a big deal with Deutsche Telekom. They're rolling out now the first big e-paper-based digital home network. So we're not talking about a few hundreds, but we're talking really big numbers there. So it seems like e-paper is really, really gaining traction. Yes, everyone buys from e-ink. Let's face it, there's only one supplier who can really do it. But it's 32-inch now. They even have the first ones in 42-inch, I think, Stefan, we saw yesterday, right? 42-inch in color, everything. You cannot use it for video, we all know, but it's great, and especially from the perspective of sustainability, it's amazing, and also has you get the support from people out there, who hate screens out there, so that's good.
But there's also progress on LED and LCD power consumption. On Philips QE line set a benchmark kind of for the LCD technology, and you can see a lot of exhibitors talking about low consumption LED as well. Low power.
But it's a little bit disappointing. Last year, everyone had like big signs, sustainability, green signage. Now, this year, almost nobody talks about it. Some of them, just take it for granted and include it in their products. Others said, oh, it's an enterprise thing. We don't want to talk about it anymore. So you really have to look out for it. But there are some good solutions out there. And we believe, especially in Europe, it's mandatory. You can't go without it. And we see already with tenders, where they ask for the most sustainable product. You have to need an answer for that. Remote device management, we talk a lot about CMS, but remote device management becomes more and more important as signage becomes business critical. Screens need to be running. You cannot afford to have black screens anymore. So that's a huge topic with many players there, and we will come to that later. Sustainability, we mentioned. IT security, yes, that's a huge topic, as well as one trend we see, and it wasn't invented by us, so I don't take the credit for that, but it's really, there's this vision that eventually we will have a sensor on every screen. If it's a camera, if it's some form of other sensor or so, because everyone wants to know what's happening in front of the screen. And we need this feedback data to really improve the content automatically, whatever we have, so it's really, really relevant. So this becomes a big thing in the future. We will talk about software trends in a separate panel in an hour from now. So M&A, Stefan.
Yeah, the industry is kind of growing up, and we see a couple of things happening. Treson now got a new investor with Elgam, so fresh money coming into the industry. Economcom announced end of last year, that they're going to create a separate business unit just dedicated to signage and AV business called GADA. Cancom, a big German IT and AV integrator, they acquired K-Businesscom in Austria, so also strengthened their position in the DACH region. And Zeta has done a management reset, so also setting everything up for growth. And we see really the large players becoming stronger, becoming bigger, and there's obviously other players, but this is just a couple of examples where we see the industry growing up, actually.
Exactly. So, talking about coming from industry to iconic projects. Yes, everyone loves iconic projects. You get awards for iconic projects. You make money with scalable stuff, but that's the cool stuff everyone loves to talk about. So we've seen a few of them. Obviously the Sphere, which is by far the biggest. We have Outernet. That's a photo of Outernet. If you're in London, you really have to see it. It's amazing. We have something like the MUCAP in Riyadh. We have 2 or 3 new Times Squares, they call it, in Seoul. So they're really, opening up the city to more digital out of home, and something like the Moxie in Los Angeles. That's the MOOC Hub. I'm sure you've all seen that. This country is not shy of any huge projects, and this is one of them. Will be full projection inside. Will be many stories high, and it's like a full experience thing. And talking about Seoul, I mentioned that already. That's a current one they have in Gangnam, but they have more and more they want to build. And this is not one big thing, but these are like dozens of them. And they have now new zoning rights where they really allow lots of digital out of home at certain places in the city, and that's quite cool stuff. Talking about cool stuff and talking about Saudi Arabia, esports. It's a bigger and bigger and more important topic for us, not only for the LED guys who love to put LED there, but it's becoming more and more important. And this is the latest thing they're currently building. It's amazing. And what's even more amazing are these numbers. These are the numbers of Saudi Arabia, the invest of their investment fund last year in different sports. And everyone talks about football, they're buying all our European good players, everyone goes there. They invested 5 billion euros last year, or US dollars, 5 billion US dollars last year just in football players. But look what they invested in esports. We're talking about 37 billion US dollars. That's the future. They get everything they can get their hands on. All the big tournaments, everything will be there. They're building huge palaces, everything. And Stefan and I, we went with some of the CEOs to Saudi Arabia in October. We did a little CEO tour, and we visited one of the shopping malls. And just a few days before we went there, they opened up a quite small place, but was packed with LED. I mean, everything was with LED, and was quite fascinating to see, because the kids, many of them don't like to play at home, so they play with their friends, and they're building really, really huge experience centers. So not only for the big tournaments, but also for day-to-day sports. And I just stopped counting, but I counted 40 of these experience centers, which are currently built for esports in Riyadh alone, in the capital. And there are probably many more of them. So this is really, really amazing stuff. Stefan, the next topic from beyond, and it's our topic, which is close to our heart. You know about this. One thing, I was in Montreal in December visiting Broadsign, and I had the rare opportunity to talk to the owner and the CEO of Broadsign, Bruce Smith, a really, really interesting guy. And we talked for 1.5 hours about the world and the industry and everything. And he told me that they changed their complete software development 1.5 years ago according to these greener software practice. And this is something which is defined by the Green Software Foundation. You get all the details you find on the internet, and they really converted the whole process of developing software, the whole platform, to net zero. So the only emissions they still have is business travel. It's still bad, obviously something you need to compensate, but everything else is fully net zero. So they did everything, following these guidelines, and it's a huge, huge booklet, and I can really recommend for all of you who are in the software industry, read that, because I'm sure clients will ask for that in the future. How much carbon emission does your software development and everything included have it? It doesn't start with a data center and it doesn't end there, but there are many, many things. So please look at it. It's fascinating thing to read, and it took me a few hours.
And it's interesting that it's happening in software.
Yeah.
I mean, many people, when they think about green signage, they think about hardware first and the LED power consumption and things like this. But it's also happening and must happen in software as well.
Yeah. Well, when we prepared the slides, it was still, snowing in Germany, so we thought you need some nice summary pictures. We didn't know it would be so nice here in Barcelona this year. But we talk about destination net zero. Many of the largest companies, enterprise, everyone needs to have a goal when they want to be net zero. 37% of the world's largest companies have now publicly announced their targets. That's up 3% from last year. Well, it is what it is. But only 18% of the companies are cutting fast enough to reach net zero by 2050. So to be honest, you can put something on paper, but it's almost impossible to do it. And when we talk about Gen AI, and Stefan and I will talk about it a little bit later, that's the biggest challenge I had in the past 12 months. Because all the big enterprise, all our big clients, they're all investing heavily in generative AI, and you all know that takes a lot of computing power. So many of the ESG officers, they had some really, really sleepless nights in the past months because, their whole strategy of reducing or going net zero has been counteracted. So talking about greener stores, And Starbucks is just one of the examples, but they're investing heavily into that. And what's quite interesting, they started an academy. You can find it online. Everything is publicly. It's called, and they have an academy with different sessions for their suppliers, but also for their franchisees, because you know many of the stores are not operated by themselves. How to build and operate greener stores, and that's quite interesting. And I can really recommend. This is one of the things. Most of them are obvious, you know, but they have really all the details in there. It's obviously about water, it's about waste diversion, it's about energy efficiency, and also one thing which is really nice, they talk about putting screens there, because that saves them a lot of printing. I'm not 100% sure if that's a good argument, to be honest. We have done the math, we have seen hundreds of studies, and we're still not 100% convinced that screens are really greener, but if it helps them, that's fine. But some more things we absolutely believe in, having a modular and more reusable furniture, so you can rebuild and change their stores. And until now, you know, they did everything tailor-made for one store, and now they have a modular system at the bar and back of house, also in the kitchen. Obviously, for the first time, which I was really surprised, they have now IoT, so you know, climate control and everything is centrally managed. You know, when the store is closed, you know that the temperature is not they don't do that much heating or air conditioning and everything. But now they're introducing that, and they could reduce 15% their carbon emissions just by these things. So it's the right way to go, and why we like Starbucks so much is because they're talking so openly about it, and they're not making a secret about it, and you can download it, you can watch the videos and everything. I can highly recommend doing that. Talking about green signage, it's much more than energy efficiency. It's about the whole life cycle. And if you download our book, that's in our Digital Signage Handbook, and it's really about, you know, reducing it along the life cycle, you know, from design, from manufacturing, all the way to operations and to recycling. So that's really, really important. Just give you some ideas there. And we put together 10 principles of green signage. And if you have only 2 photos you want to take with you from ISE, that should be one of them. So it's really about, you know, it's sustainability in digital signage, it's about energy efficiency, it's about long lasting, it's about circular, it's about honest, no greenwashing, very, very important. It's about innovation, it's about, you know, keeping signage as small as possible. We're not, you know, getting big applause for that, but that's part of the deal. And makes communication impactful, is engaging, is remotely managed, and delivers ROI. Yes, also green signage needs to deliver ROI, otherwise it won't work. Yes, you can download all of that, and also you see we have our conference coming up, and our latest yearbook is coming in May, and it will be all about connecting signage, digital signage. Stefan, generative AI.
Yeah, of course, and we can't get away without talking about AI, and this is just to set up the stage. There's 2 forms of AI, and both of them aren't all new, but there's the side of generative AI, so everything you saw about ChatGPT and DALL-E and what those tools are all about. So they create text, they create pictures, they create video, they create music, and they can create code. So that's the generative part that has had a huge push with OpenAI and ChatGPT. But there's also the other side of AI, and that's the analytic part of AI. So making sense of data in general, be it pictures, be it videos, be it text. So finding structure and patterns in these things. And that's probably the part that's, especially if you think about closing the loop, gathering data, working with data, and then generating something and measuring it again. You need to play on both sides. But the one that's most prominent is the Gen AI part. And there's the adoption curves of ChatGPT. I'm sure most of you have seen something similar, and it just went through the roof. The adoption of ChatGPT was just mind-blowing. It is everywhere. It created that great hype around the topic, and the first ones to take that up, obviously, are marketeers. But for us, it's still a technology in search of business models and applications. And so what are the big promises of this technology? There's one, on the one hand, the B2C promise of a killer app. And it's not just a killer app like ChatGPT that's free for most users, private users, but it's the question of monetized killer app. And that's what the big guys are all looking for, Google and Microsoft. That's the game they are playing. But for you guys, it's more about the B2B promise, and that's efficiency. That's about creating visuals, creating templates, creating videos automatically. That's about creating code automatically for all of you who are in software. That's the big Gen AI promise. But we've also seen over the past 12 months, there are things holding that growth back. And that's a lot of unclear questions around legal issues. So how are these models trained? Which kind of data have they used to train the models? It's about reliability, models hallucinating, so putting out content that's not trustworthy. Then there's also a thing, Gen AI needs data. And many of your customers and many of your companies probably aren't ready to train models and to use your data in a Gen AI way. That's a big, big hurdle for many, many companies. Then it's relatively expensive still. And last but not least, you might think there's been a huge investment into these technologies, but actually the investment into that technology is relatively small. This is FT numbers, and you see the investment in Gen AI, but companies invested 5 times as much in IT security and 200 times as much in general IT. So it's still relatively small.
It's a hype.
It's a hype. So key takeaways. Gen AI, or AI in general, it's here, it's now, but it might take some time longer than many expected with the ChatGPT hype. For us, data is the crucial point in that game. If you can't use your data, you can't use AI. That's not my words, that's Accenture, or the CEO of Accenture who said that. That's the key asset. Data is the asset. It's not the model, it's the data. And for you, trying to make sense of that, try to look beyond the marketing buzz. It's really hard to find the good use cases for you in your business, and that's not going to be answered by marketing.
Stefan.
So the other big topic you can't get away without is retail media. And Florian, you were at NRF 2 weeks ago. It was one of the big topics there. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in the retail forum this afternoon. So again, retail marketing, or marketing your audiences, or using your audience to sell to advertisers, is nothing new. That's been done for ages. What's new, it's the digital part of it. And retail media is kind of like the third wave of digital retail marketing. First one was obviously search marketing, Google. Second wave then was social marketing, Facebook, and all these guys. And the third wave now is retail media, driven mainly by Amazon, obviously. And you see the growth rates, and that's where the hype is. Yeah. But if you look into what does it mean for the signage industry, and the circle is about correct in terms of size of that market, most of that is online and mobile. It's not in physical spaces where we do digital signage. So, and even in digital signage, it's not for everybody, but it's for people in high-frequency locations, and that's mainly food retail, healthcare, and health and beauty, and those kind of things. And the signage play in all of that business is obviously having the playout infrastructure, so having the screens, having the players, having the sensors, having the software. It's the installation and it's the operations. And it's not selling the advertising for you. That's not the digital signage part. There's established models, there's established players, and they won't let you have a piece of that pie.
But the infrastructure is similar to what digital offer is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good. So, Outlook 2024. We gave you already some numbers. This is our outlook. This is the DSS ISE. We do our big DSS event coming up in May 22nd, 23rd. We moved a little bit forward because of some big sports event in Munich, which is the standalone one. And you will see us at all the big AVIXA and Infocom events. The next one will be in China, and then you can see the list there. And we also do some executive lounges again and some tours to some still secret places similar to what we did. So if you're interested, please always contact us. And these are the topics for the next 3.5 hours. So we want to talk about the advancement of LED technology, retail media networks, software-defined digital signage, very interesting topic. VXT, yes, many of you are especially for that here. We will have Simon later on here on stage, and today is a big day. Today is a big announcement of Samsung, the global launch. It's so important that even the chairman from Samsung Electronics came over here. It's so relevant for this industry, for Samsung. Employee-facing signage, green signage, proof of concepts, engaging experiences, business critical, and our annual wrap-up. So these are the main topics, and thank you for attending our conference, and this was our annual Stefan and Florian update for the market. Thank you.
Thank you.